How's it going, guys? It's Ethan again. I'm going to go over the pros specifically of the new line of Bionicle from what I have seen, and I'm going to go into further details on the other characters that I haven't quite bought yet, but I'm going to give my initial speculations of them. Alright, so the first pro of the new figures is I mentioned in my last video, but the first pro of the new figures is the integration of the styles, at least, of most of the Toa incarnation, along with a lot of the Hero Factory inspirations for the new line. I like the fact that they have armor you can kind of like strip off. I like the fact that a lot of the parts are interchangeable. You couldn't really make, at least in the earlier Toa, which is where I went in, was uh, one of the issues is that you really couldn't like combine the Toa that much. You could, like, there was actual directions to combine the Toa, but you couldn't really like mix and match them too much. If you did, they looked a bit sloppy. But now, where a lot of their parts kind of mesh together, you can more easily, I believe at least, make a pretty decent looking combination of a couple of the characters, especially with the Masters and the Protectors. There's actually been released a build guide for a Protector of Fire and Tahu combination thing, where you pretty much like scrap everything from the Protector and slap it onto Tahu, which looks pretty good. I'm actually going to try to build that tonight probably. But the next pro is one of the issues with the original line was that the gear functions were really loose. But now this guy has a really heavy weapon in his hand right now, but he can hold it forever. Like, if I jiggle a bit, it goes down, but he usually can. Like, I'm gonna actually lighten the load a little bit. But for the older figures, even this was uber difficult for them to hold up. Like, they could not hold that up on their own, usually. Usually had to fiddle around with getting more friction if you wanted to pose them for an extended period of time. But not anymore. They fixed that, and it's really good. I also like the fact that they incorporate a bunch of the older, like the older styles of the weapons that the older Toa had. Some of you might not remember, but some of you might. Tahu Nuva used to have these like lava skis. His two big sword things which were really reminiscent of this, turned into skis. And I always thought that was cool because they used to show this clip of him like surfing down a like pool of lava on a volcano, and it was so cool. And now you get that back with the new line. They're playing for the nostalgia factor, and it's working. They're not pandering, they're actually giving us what they think we want. And they're getting it right so far, I think. Mostly. I'll get to that in the cons video, though. The next thing, pro, is there's differentiation. Like, you can tell, like, they're not just palette swaps of each other and different build configurations of like the same parts. They're sort of like that, but they're not really. They are built in a way that they really do look different. Like, they look like they are different characters. This is Tahu, and this is Anua. I believe he's Anua. I'm probably getting the name wrong. I'm horrible at names. But look at this guy. Look how bulky this guy is compared to Tahu. He lifts, bro. He benches. You even lift, bro? Huh? Bro? Um, but no, he looks so different. Like this guy is the most different out of all of the Toa so far. Um, I'm actually interested to see like what line 2 of the Toa in this series is going to be. I'm hoping they get to the line 2 of this. I'm really excited because I want to see how these guys are going to be built up even more. The the next thing is going along with the uh, gear function stability. Just to kind of like coincide with that is posability of all of them, especially Anoa. I mean, this guy is not only bulkier, but he has more posability than most of them. He has more options for posability due to his bulky nature, because they equaled him out with the other masters of the elements. Because originally he was just too damn bulky. You could like without some of these parts he couldn't move at all. But he has an extra neck joint to raise his head above his shoulders, and not only can you go forward and back, you can kind of cock his head a bit. You can like look around his shoulder pads, which I'm not sure if they thought of that, but I think that is an amazing attention to detail for playability for kids. Like if they're acting out and they wanted to make sure that they wanted to make sure that they have the most possibilities for imagination possible, and that just gives like an extra piece of immersion. You couldn't get that with the old Toa. You could with a little bit of modding. Uh, I'm probably using the wrong term, but because I'm also a nerfer if you watch any of my other videos, but you could get little Lego tubes and cut them to length and make it a posable neck. But I never got into that. I liked my Toa the way they were. Um, but yeah, and his gear function also is very, very friction oriented. Like I really liked it. The next, uh, the next pro for the new line is the customization of the weapons. You can make your weapons pretty much any way you wanted. Nua is going to be my little example monkey here. Put that back there. Bear with me. These probably will not be edited. But hopefully I'll get my point across either way. Anua had his little hammer that you saw right there. But also, they advertised that, once again, going back to the original Toa, he has digging claws. Which, once again, is really good for playability for kids. And not to mention, for guys like me who like to pose their figures on a shelf, which I need to actually get a shelf to do, but, like, this will hold forever, pretty much, unless you yourself, like, alter it. Gearboxes on these are so friction-oriented that they're so sticky that you can pose them in whatever way you want. Let's see if I can get a close-up of the box. They're using ball joint gears. I'm pretty sure that's not what they're called, but they look like the ends of them look like balls. And if you can see that, the way they have it oriented with the ball and socket system, it's ingenious. I really, really like this system. It's done tremendously well. All right, and one more pro. Let's see. I'm gonna say this is a pseudo pro because it it is a pro for mostly it's a pro, but it could be considered a con. Focus on the Toa. They the original line that was released, in my memory, I only remember seeing advertisements for the Toa. And I think the first year wasn't just the Toa, but I think the first release was just the Toa. Then we got a bunch more stuff. But the original few lines were just the Toa, I believe. Don't quote me on that because I'm probably wrong. I'm not. This is a impromptu video that I've been on a few forums and I've been asked about my opinion because I am in love with with the old Bionicle line, and I intend to get a complete collection of the whole set at some point in the future, which is going to cost me a lot, but I think I'm going to enjoy in the end. But yeah, that's pretty much the rest of my pros uh, so far. I'm going to do a cons video next because this is my favorite line of Toa, but there are a lot of flaws, at least in the release. So I'll see you guys in the next video.